And good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us early. We have lots of people signed up, so we'll give a couple more minutes for a 7:30 start. But thank you for coming to our check-in module Flex attendance webinar. And we are going to dive in pretty quick. We're going to look to keep it interactive. So while there are a couple of options for asking questions or contributing, I'm always a fan of just using the chat functionality. So maybe if someone wouldn't mind, maybe Yovi, I see that you're online. If you wouldn't, just double check that you can contribute to chat and that chat is enabled. Chat is disabled. I think Sep, that might be Sep, I think last time you turned chat on. Do you remember that setting?
Yeah, let me have a look here.
Thank you. Oh, hold on. Panelists can chat with everyone. Attendees can chat with everyone. I think that's turns it on. There we go. I think I got it on now.
Yeah, I see it. Perfect.
Maybe Yovi, if you could just double check that one again. Perfect. Wonderful. So yeah, we'll keep questions in the chat window instead of using Q&A. And then so just feel free to throw things in chat, and then someone moderating, Yevna or Giuseppe, might throw in if it's, you know, just has a quick answer over text, or we'll bring it up and talk about it with the group. So let's get started. It's I'm sure we'll have a bunch of people coming in and joining us along the way. I see lots of familiar names on there. So welcome everyone once again to our check-in and flex attendance webinar. This is some new functionality and features that we have introduced into Minga recently, but building off some of the event check-in functionality that we already had. And so my name's Jason, if I didn't already introduce myself, and we are going to keep this efficient and sweet. So first off, I want to start off with, you know, a little bit on an introduction of how this module came to be. And basically, to sum it up, this came as a result of a number of direct conversations, you know, with Minga schools that were looking for an easy way to do attendance for situations that were either school-wide or were outside of the regular school schedule. So, you know, we can call this an attendance module because it really is an attendance module, but it's attendance that's built for kind of everything that it says here. Things like, you know, checking in, if you're a closed campus and you want to check students in every day to students that arrive on campus, this is, you know, this is perfect for that. For flex periods that are outside of scheduled times table, after school activities, you know, access privileges like on and off campus lunch, anything where, you know, it doesn't really fit into how we're tracking and managing attendance in the classroom, the Minga's check-in module and Flex day attendance module is perfect for. So there's a couple other things that it fits into perfectly as well, and that is for managing privileges. So you can use it as you scan students to very easily see if they have the privilege for, you know, a particular thing that they're trying to check in or check out of. And an easy example there would be something like an say off-campus lunch privilege. We might have tagged students in Minga's digital ID module that have an off-campus lunch sticker. And so now we know we can easily identify a group of students that have an off-campus lunch sticker. And with the check-in or checkout module, we can now set them up to scan out for lunch, and it's going to also check to make sure that they have the sticker. So it's a more secure way of ensuring, privileges or validations for seeing if students have access to certain things. Because even if, let's say, the student is using a regular ID that doesn't have the stickers on it, the check-in module will check back with Minga's server and see if they have the sticker, on the privilege to say leave campus for lunch. And so lots of great functionalities. We'll go through a couple of use cases and do this in a little bit of a real-time presentation format. So the way that the check-in module or flex module, flex attendance module works is it's very real-time and dashboard driven. So it gives you the ability to, at a glance, see in real time, say how many students have come on campus already this morning, or how many students are out for lunch at the moment. And so a lot of it is dashboard driven and real-time driven. And another really unique and interesting feature of the check-in module is that you can also use it to track not only who's checked in, but you could use it to track things like who's absent. So we could set it up in the morning and scan every student that came on campus, and at a glance, you'll see every student on campus, but you can easily check the absentee list to see who's not on campus today, which is useful in lots of situations where, let's say, for a flex time period, we want to see every student that's signed into an advisory, activity, but we also want to know the students that have not. So I'm just going to, just to cover a little bit for all of our existing Minga customers, and I do see lots of familiar names on there. The check-in feature and functionality is actually included with the PBIS and tracking module that some of you may already have purchased for this year. So if you do have that tracking and PBIS module, the check-in functionality is included, although it does require us to turn it on. So you will see it show up as a new module in Minga under the Minga settings, and we will happily turn it on for you. You just need to reach out and ask us to enable it for you. But if you have the tracking and check-in module already, then that is included at no cost for the remainder of the year. Next year, we are adjusting our modules. So just to set the right expectations, we haven't finalized exactly how those modules are getting adjusted, but there will be, the way the modules are laid out will be a little bit different for next year, and we will announce more of that information for you in January, so you can see how that fits in. It will come along with some announcements of some new modules that we'll be releasing for next year as well. So very straightforward. Like everything else in Minga, we really focus on ease of use and setup. So, basically, it's very flexible. So you have the ability, when you set it up, to assign and create different reasons for check-in. So you can name those reasons whatever you want. We give you a couple of default ones to start with, but you could have a reason that just says, say, off-campus lunch. And then when you go to check people in, you just tag all those check-ins to a particular reason. So just like, say, the hall pass module or the behavior module, it can be very flexibly used on campus because you can create new reasons named whatever you want. And one of the really nice parts about it is that when you create those check-in reasons, you can also limit restrictions or requirements to students to have access to that check-in reason based on things like the role, by stickers that are on their IDs, by grade, or even by other check-ins. So there's lots of flexibility to ensure that that when it's being used by, say, a security or someone at the gate, that as we're scanning IDs live, it's going to be checking if that student has the privileges to be able to actually check into these events. It can also be tied in and used alongside the no access sticker and the no access list that you can create in Minga. And that no access or no privilege list is students that aren't able to attend specific events and activities or aren't able to, engage with extracurriculars for whatever reason. And So, basically just adds a big another level of safety and security into managing and tracking access in and out of events. I'm going to dive in and show it off a little bit as off of a live Minga, so you can actually see how it is being used in practice. It can be enabled, and the functionality for check-in and can be added to all your staff and teachers on campus, so it can be used very flexibly by people as well. And also shows right up under teacher tools when the module gets enabled. So it's very easy for teachers to find and follows the exact same workflows as most of the other check-in functionality in modules in Minga, where they just select a reason and then they can open up, say, their mobile device or use a barcode scanner or even manually enter student ID numbers or email addresses. And then just sequentially check people in. It does have a rapid fire mode, so you can enable like a barcode scanner or a camera on a mobile device or a Chromebook or anything else to just sit there and stay in scan mode, so students can self-check themselves in some situations, or someone can stand there with a mobile device and check students in based on their student IDs as they walk through the door. So it does have rapid mode that can make it very efficient. And if the student has the privilege, then it will flash green for a second and allow that student in. But if the student does not have the privilege or has no access or other restriction, does not meet the requirements to check in, it will pull up a very visible red notification that says access denied, and then give the reason why that access is denied for that student. So kind of coming back to the perfect use cases for this, we kind of break it up into, say 3 main use cases that's becoming very important more and more in school. And Andy, I just saw your note, and yes, we'll definitely have a link to this recording to watch later. So the first one would be really great functionality right out of the gate is if you are starting to look at or investigate the option of actually checking every student in as they come on campus in the morning. There's lots of reasons to do this. It can, for tardy management, just to understand who's on campus for safety and security reasons. You can also tie it to things like points and rewards. So, you can actually reward points for check-ins and stuff like that as well. So in that situation, it's very flexible because you just create an on-campus or, a morning arrival reason, and then you just tag students automatically to morning arrival. When they come in the morning, you just scan them in as they come in through the door. It's very fast, so it's not going to hold up the line. And then at the end of that process, you're going to see all the students that are missing from school that day very easily, because you're going to have a list of absentees as a reference from your total student roster. Another really good use case, as we already talked about there, is something like off-campus lunch, where we want to track, let's say, every junior and senior has off-campus lunch privileges by default. So you can set up the check-in reason, create it as off-campus lunch, and you could tag it or set it up so it automatically checks it for their grade 11 or grade 12 for juniors and seniors, and will let them, check out from lunch for that reason. And if they don't have the privilege, or if they're on the no privilege list, then you can add them to the no access list and set that up very easily. So now students, it will check first if it's grade 11 or 12, let them off campus. If they're on the no access list, then it will check that second and will show up that red access denied. So then they're not allowed to leave campus. And a third reason we'll kind of showcase here really quick, that is becoming, of course, more and more important on campus, is for emergency check-in reasons. And let's say that, there was an event, let's say a fire alarm, and we had to evacuate campus to a muster point. Well, you could enable the emergency check-in functionality and give the ability for every teacher to, from their mobile device, basically open up their phone, click check-in under the emergency check-in function, and scan all the students around them to quickly take account for all the students that they're around them. And then you can very quickly have every staff and teacher be able to check students in wherever they are around them, and then get a very quick look at every student that's missing. And in that situation, or that hasn't been accounted for, and in that situation, you can actually even tie that sticker back to all the students that checked in on campus that morning. So now it's just checking for students are missing or not unaccounted for from the list of students that actually checked in the morning, which is very powerful and can be, very difficult to do with the, current systems where often students, even if their parents might not call them in absent, they might not have shown up, they might have missed the morning attendance check or things like that. So it can often be very difficult to understand, when you are in an emergency situation, which students we need to be looking for and which ones just simply didn't come to school that day. So I'm going to jump from here a little bit. Well, actually, I'm going to jump from here right into showing it off. Sorry, just pulling up in new Minga here. There we go. So first I'll show this on a test Minga, and we can show you a few different ways that this can be used. Let me share my other screen here. So here I've just got a sample Minga that we can play around with and make changes to without any issues. And you can see under Minga settings, the check-in module option is right here. So once again, just to cover that off, if you have the tracking and PBIS module, which will be this one right here, if that's already enabled on your Minga, then the check-in module is included for the remainder of this year at no cost. So, just reach out to your customer experience manager, and you can connect with them directly by emailing support@minga.io, and it will automatically connect you with your CEM. And they can turn that on for you. Just let them know you'd like the check-in module. They'll turn it on for you and get you connected with all the training and setup guides, as well as links to all the live training classes. And if you want to add this functionality to your Minga, then you can also reach out to your CEM as well. We can enable that for you and walk you through how that works with the PBS and tracking and how it's all connected together for this year. And like I said, we'll have updates and announcements in January on how the module setup will be changing a little bit, but the basic idea is still going to be, the same there. So once you're done there, then you're going to have this check-in manager option come up. Clicking over on settings, you'll see settings are very straightforward. We're either turning it on for teachers and staff, so that's just going to enable that under that teacher tools section. And second thing you're going to do then is set up your reasons. So very easy, very simple to set up. You can set up your reasons for anything you want to. We give you these 5 defaults come out of the box. So start of school, flex period, an off-campus lunch for check-in reasons, and off-campus lunch for a checkout reason, and end of school for a checkout reason. Creating a reason is very straightforward. So let's say this reason is going to be, we want to check in everyone for after school activities. You can select from just a handful of default icons. And here where we can set up those different restrictions so we can track which students are allowed to have this. So we might have a sticker on IDs that says, after school activity stickers, which is a sticker that we give to every student that has signed up or is participating in an after school activity. And that's going to make it it's going to check that sticker first. So, but you can do this as well. It might be we might want to check in for a basketball practice, and it's going to check in and, for everyone that's on that basketball team. You can do it by grades or role and even other reasons. So once again, that's that perfect example where we might want to reference this back to students that checked in the morning. And that'd be a perfect example for an emergency check-in situation where So we might want to call this an evacuation check-in. And the reason for that will reference that to every student that checked in the morning. And that's a perfect example of that. So as we did there, creating that reason is very easy. We mark that reason as active. And then under teacher tools, there's a new option down here for check-in tools, and we're simply going to click on check-in. And you've got those reasons available to you here as well for when we're checking people in. So at start of school, you simply select that reason, click for search user, and then depending on your device, you're going to have options. We could upload a list, we could manually find students, or we could turn on the barcode scanners or the camera on the device to scan IDs. And so in that case, I'm going to check in most of my students. I'm going to leave a few. So I unselected 3. So I've checked in most of my students for the day. And there's a confirmation that they all checked in. And on the check-in manager now, you can see that those 43 students are checked in for the day. And there's 3 absentees. So I can click on this to get my list right out of the gate of all of those students that have checked in. I get the reason, their name, student ID, the grade, their role, who scanned them, so I can know where they came or which person scanned them in, and also a full date and timestamp, so I can see exactly what time they were checked in. And this would show me every student that checked in the morning, and then just by checking absentees, I could quickly identify all the students that haven't checked in. And then back to this dashboard, you'll notice this is all kind of monitoring in real time. And the nice part is we don't have to create events for any of this stuff. It automatically resets all of these metrics at the beginning of each day. So this is a perfectly set up to, to work with those things that you are doing on a daily basis. Whereas events are great for, an event by event basis. We want to track everyone who came to the football game today. Well, that's a perfect place to use an event and check in students to that football game. But in this case, start of school happens every day. And we don't want to create events every day to track students and just going to clutter up our events and, just create a lot of extra work. So in this case, for daily events and activities like this, it's a perfect way to check in. Very efficient, very flexible, and automatically keeps data under the report. So your dashboard, of course, is current. So this is real time. And under reports, you're automatically tracking data for the last 7 days. So since this is really meant to be used as a real-time tool, you can come back and review data from from a few days ago if you need to. And if you need to keep data for any reason longer than that, let's say during we had an activity that we wanted to check or keep the list of the students that did that, you're able to export any report very easily right from here. So another perfect example, when I go back to the check-in manager there, would be under a reason for that evacuation check-in. I think that the way I set that up is, that's right, so it's checked into start of school. So if we had an evacuation event now, I could turn that evacuation check-in, make that active. Under our settings, we'd ensure that every teacher and staff member was able to use this tool. And then the process for emergency check-in would simply be to them to click on check-in tools, select that evacuation check-in, turn their phone into scammer mode with the camera, which works just like this. And now this is actually set up to scan right now. And scan all the students around them. So I'm gonna do that right now. So I've scanned these 3 students around me. I successfully checked them in. And when as an administrator to monitor this situation, I forgot to turn on track absentees on that one. I want to track absentees there. So you'll see that I have 3 people checked in and 40 absentees because it's automatically referencing the 43 students that have checked in for school today. So very powerful functionality to tie pieces in together there for, doing things like check-in management in that way. And then taking a look a little bit on how this looks in real time. Here we have a school that's using it looks like for managing their off-campus lunch access. And so the reason there is they're tracking that for, you can see, they've got quite a few students using it for off-campus lunch, getting tracked every day. Excuse my weird time zone here because I'm in Europe at the moment, which means that I'm 8 hours ahead. So that's showing 8:46 p.m., but that's actually 12:46 p.m. Pacific time. This is adjusting the reporting to my time zone. And you can see the large number of students that they're using to check in and check out every day for the off-campus lunch privilege. And coming back to a situation where we would see a student try to get checked in that doesn't have that privilege, let's just really quickly go over to our ID manager. And we're going to create a off-campus lunch sticker. And we're just going to give that to a few students right now. We're going to give it to Mark, but Alfie Allen does not have it. And we pop over here to our check-in manager. And under our off-campus lunch, we're going to delete those and we're going to reference it back to that sticker. So now it's going to check that sticker to see if they have the privilege to leave campus for off-campus lunch for the person scanning them. So back to teacher tools now. We're checking students out for off-campus lunch. And the first student is Mark Addy, who has the sticker. We add him, and you'll see that we get a confirmation dialog right away. Mark's been added. Now we try to, Alfie comes up and tries to leave campus for lunch. Oh, let me double check that. That one should have denied him. Oh, for checkout. Yeah, for checkout. My bad. So we go back to teacher tools. That's a checkout for off-campus lunch. And we look at all those students again, and we check out Mark Addy. He's got the sticker. And Mark Addy was checked out. Then we check out Alfie. And Alfie's been denied. His checkout sticker requirements are not met. And so tells us really clearly that he can't be checked out because he doesn't have the sticker requirements. And that's it. So the nice part about this module is it is very simple and easy to use. Super flexible, very easy to use, very little training required. And like many of our modules, the workflow for tracking a behavior, for creating a hall pass, or for checking in and out all look pretty much the same for your staff and teachers. So there's almost no training. It's really just functional training and process training for how you want to use it on campus. Can be used for the 2 main features. The one is, of course, the access control. So ensuring that when students are checking in and checking out of activities or events or privileges, that they have the requirements and they have the privileges to do so. And then secondly, for having a list and a flexible attendance records of everyone that has access to those privileges or is participating in things like a flex or advisory period or after school activities and things like that. one last time, included with the PBIS and tracking module for the remainder of the year. So just let us know. We can turn that on for you right away. Or, if you don't have that functionality, but you're looking to get into more check-in and tracking, then just connect with us as well. And we can talk to you a little bit about how the PBIS and tracking module works, all the other features and functionality that are connected and involved with that module, because there's a lot more available there. And that will include the check-in module for the remainder of this year as well. And with that in mind, I will pass it back to my team in case, Sep, if there's anything that you think I missed or you wanted to add. Or, of course, open up the floor to any questions and just talk to happy to talk about any questions or use cases that you might have and discuss those while we have a few minutes remaining on the webinar here.
Jay, I think we're great. Thank you so much. The chat is open for everybody to ask some questions. I see we're already starting to see some. Go ahead, fire in there, and let's take the remainder of the time to answer some of these questions.
We will get pricing. We will fix that module pricing a little bit for your 23-24 budget. I just see PB, so I'm not actually sure exactly who PB is, but it is Patrick Burke. Patrick, if you need pricing information earlier just for budgeting purposes, you can reach out to me directly at jason@minga.io. And I can give you some preliminary info, subject to change a little bit, but should be more than adequate for pricing or for budgeting purposes. Then I can, answer any other questions as well from that perspective. So we do expect it to come in line with our other module pricing. So we're just shifting the way some of the modules are done. And check-in, all the check-in functionality in Minga will be in one module, and then we'll be moving PBIS, the behavior tracking, and all the new PBIS functionality into its own module for behavior tracking, rewards, points, leaderboards, teams, and redemption, and some of the other disciplinary and workflow components that are coming out in the PBIS module. So very excited. This is, kind of pushing more into the realm of safety and security on campus, which is a big initiative for us at Minga. Is obviously, our big picture vision is always helping create and build community and build a sense of belonging for students and staff on campus. And, one of our pillars of that is, of course, ensuring safety and security so that people feel comfortable being part of a community on campus. And this will be an area we will continue to explore in the 23-24 school year. And I anticipate in the first quarter and first half of next year, we'll be making some very exciting announcements on some more direction that we'll be moving to specifically into the safety, security, people management component, campus management. So I hope that the lack of questions is just because the module is so easy and simple to use that there's not a ton of questions. If you have more suggestions or things that you think we're missing as we start to explore this space, then we're also always love to hear that feedback. The requirements for this module came from about 24 schools that we've been working with on a small committee around this check-in stuff to build actually these requirements. And then we've had a handful of those schools doing beta testing for about the last 6 weeks. So we've already done one quick update based on the feedback from that beta testing, and we'll likely have a couple more little updates over the next while for functionality and features. But with that, I would like to thank everyone for joining me in my afternoon and your early morning for our introduction of this, and really look forward to emails. You can email, if you have sales or purchasing questions, you can email myself at jason@minga.io. But like I said, if you already have some of the modules enabled on your Minga, just reach out to support@minga.io, and your customer experience manager will get that turned on for you right away. There are getting started guides and live trainings already scheduled, and a very busy training calendar, as we do have a lot of schools rolling this functionality out already. So thanks again so much for all your time. And I really look forward to connecting with you all soon. Thank you.